Good morning, teachers and everyone. We're from Group 1, and today we're going to present about a story of Throwaway Wives. These are the contents that we go through together. So now, let's begin.
Good afternoon, teacher. Hello, everyone. I'm Montong. We are talking about the Throwaway story. Now, I'm going to summarize of the story. In the beginning of the story, the Throwaways and children are alone in their porch home. A snake is discovered by one of the children, who alert the mother. The bushwoman grabs her stick and hurries to her children, but the snake hides in the hole between the wall and the floor in the meantime. As the snake vanishes, the woman pulls her children to the bed and waits for the reptile to emerge with her dog, alligator. As she waits, she recovers these frightening circumstances she has had to deal with while her husband was away with the sheep throughout the year. The battle was fire, flood, violent men, and even disease among the cattle. She is mainly happy, yet she still feels lonely, daydreaming about the stylish photos in her ladies' magazine. She runs out of the candle in the morning and gets up to go collect more wood to keep the fire going. She grabs a stick and lifts it out, causing the entire wood pile to collapse, hurting her and causing her to weep. She hired an Aboriginal man to stack it for her, and she imagined it was full of food. She pulled out a handkerchief to wipe her tears away, but the handkerchief is full of the hole, so she poked her eye instead. She laughed at the absurdity of the scenario. Despite the fact that it is nearly dawn, the bushwoman and her dog are still on the lookout of the snake. The snake emerged from a wide fracture in the divider slab all of a sudden. The dog began chasing the snake, eventually killing it. The woman uses the point of her stick to raise the lizard and toss it into the fire. Tommy, the oldest boy, wakes up and discovers his mother's tears in her eyes. He swears he'll never go driving again. Yep, thank you.
Hello, teachers and everyone. My name is Lam Swansati. After listening to Bantong summarize the story of Throwaway Wife, now let me tell you about some conflicts that happen in the story. First, the main conflicts that happen between a throwaway wife and a snake. It starts when a snake enters the house and sleeps away. The throwaway wife stays up all night and let her children go to sleep in order to protect her children. She waited until the snake came back. As a result, her hard work paid off. She can kill the snake and burn it, and her family was safe. The second conflict happened between Tommy and Jackie. In the situations, Tommy and Jackie got into a little argument. Tommy asked his mother to lie awake in order to smash a snake, but Jackie protested that idea because he was afraid of Tommy punishing him with his club. So they were mocking each other for a while until their mother told them to sleep, and the argument ended. Thirdly, the conflicts that happened between a throwaway wife and her fate. After getting married and having children, throwaway wife got busier of doing all the housework. She didn't have time for herself to enjoy. Thinking of life when she was single, she used to be alone and enjoy her time with building unusual casual in the air. All of girlish hope and aspiration have long been dead. Now she has to take responsibility as a mother and a wife to take care of her husband and her lovely children. Fourthly, the conflicts that happen between Strawberry wife and nature. When her husband absent, she forced herself to struggle and fight with flood, even though the Strawberry wife lacked of capability to struggle with flood. She stood up for hours to deal with it in order to protect the dam that was built by her husband. However, she could not save the dam. On the next day, she woke up and found out that the dam was broken, and her heart also broken too when thinking of what her husband would feel about it. And there was nothing else that she could do besides crying. So, I will let my friend Sarisat tell you more about the conflicts that happen in the story. Thank you.
The drover's wife had dealt with the pleural pneumonia, which was a kind of disease that had killed her two best cows. And after that, she had also fought with a mad bullock man who had surrounded her house for a few days by shooting him with her old shotgun, and the bullock man was dead. Furthermore, she had also dealt with the eagles and crows that had landed their eyes on her chickens by throwing a broomstick at them. Those birds had left in a hurry anyway. The woman's cunning was greater than those birds. In addition, she had also dealt with a villainous-looking bushman by telling him that her husband and her two sons were at work below the dam or the yard. By the way, there was just only the swagman who had satisfied himself, because the bushwoman had dealt with him by providing him food to eat and place to sleep when the dawn of the sun, until the next day that she appeared with a dog and a bat in her hand and confronted him to left.
Hello teacher and classmates, my name is Uswatipo and I represent the use of lectural device in the story The Drover's Wife. First, let's start with the first point, which is characterization. We're going to talk about the main character of the story, who is the drover's wife. Throughout the story, her name was never mentioned, but the story was told in her perspective. From the story, we can see that she is a strong and independent woman. For example, the quote, she sings how she fought a flood during her husband's absence, which we can imply that she was alone most of the time and have to take care of herself and her kids because of her husband's absence. She has faced many obstacles in her way. There are some support to it, which is she stood for hours in the drenching downpour and dug an overflow gutter to save the dam across the creek. She also faced pleural pneumonia, dosed and bled the few remaining cattle, and wept again when her two best cows died. Again, she fought a mad bullock that besieged the house for a day. She made bullets and fires at him through the crack in the slab with an old shotgun. And she also fights the crows and eagles that have designs on her chickens. All this shows that she is a strong woman who is capable of taking care of herself and her family. She is also a loving mother. The quote, "Tommy, come here or you'll be bit. Come here at once where I told you, you wretch." She's shown that she loves her children and only wants them to be safe from danger. That's why she called him to go to her. During most of the story, she stayed awake through all the night to guard her children from the snake, and at the end, she and the dog killed the snake.
Let's move on to the next point, which is simile.
Quote on page 38. she takes as much care to make herself and the children look smart as she would if she were going to do the blog in the city, which the writer wants to compare how the drover's wife takes care of herself and her children, which they try to look good and smart if she goes to the city. In here, the writer wants to compare how the drover's wife and her children dress in better clothes than they normally dress and clean themselves. After she gonna go to some place where people will be there and judging them, but in reality, she just going to go to a walk and nobody is really there. Moving on to the next point, which is irony. There's little in the story, but there's one on page 39, which is she gave him an extra fix of tobacco and praised him for not being lazy, but he had built the wood heap hollow. Before this, she hired a man to cut and collect the wood for her, but she was away for most of the time the wood was being cut and delivered to her. So when she arrived, she saw a big pile of wood and thought that the man has been working hard, cutting and collecting and piling it up for her, and she praised him for not being lazy and doing it half-hearted, and even reward him with an extra fix of tobacco. After the man left, she checked the pile of wood and discovered that the pile of wood was actually empty inside. Moving on to the other points, which is imagery. The first point on page 31, which is the two-room house, is built of round timber, slab and stingy bark, and floor with split slabs. The writer wants to make the reader imagine how the drover house is, how they only use wood as they cannot afford to use stone or concrete. Another point on page 32 is at the same time this big black yellow-eyed dog of all breeds who have shown the wildest interest in the proceedings break his chain and rush after that snake. The writer wants the reader to know how scary their dog is, with it mentioning the size and the color of its eye and the way that the dog tried to protect his owner when the snake was loose. That is it for my presentation, and I would like my friend to continue.
Hello, my name is Katia, and in this video I am going to talk about the reflection of The Drover Wife. The Drover Wife is a story written by Henry Lawson, and it's talk about a woman who was left in a wooden house with her 4 children and a dog. One day when one of her children playing around the house, he saw a snake and he shouted out loud. When his mother heard him shouting, she quickly grabbed a stick in order to kill the snake. But unfortunately, she cannot kill the snake because it went into the hole of their house. So she quickly grabbed the pillow and take all of her 4 children into the kitchen and lure the snake with the milk. When the night come, all of the children were asleep, and but the drover wife didn't sleep. She keeps staying up all night in order to make sure that her children is safe. She keep waiting and waiting until to kill the snake until the dawn. The snake finally came out, and by this time her dog got the snake, and then she killed it with the stick and threw it into the fire. After I read the story, it shows that the Drover wife is a strong woman, and she did show the motherly love to her children. When she knows that the children were not safe because of the snake, she kept her eyes on them all night to make sure that she can kill the snake and keep her children safe. And yes, and keep her children safe. And also, she's a strong woman because she has gone through lots of life challenges, such as the flood, the drought, the swagman, the drunken man. And also, she's doesn't care a lot about her life when she knows that her children is in the fire. If we look back into the real life, we can see that some mother cannot do the same as her because it's too dangerous, and they just stand outside and saying and telling other to help her children. But if we look at the Drover wife, she doesn't care about her life. She ran quickly into the fire and grabbed her children, and to make sure that her children is safe from the fire. And this story also taught me that the woman should learn to be independent, because being independent by themselves can make them a good life, because when they are facing with the problems, they can solve it, or facing with the problem by themselves. Don't need to depending on the man or their husband or other people. They can do it by themselves, no matter they can deal with the problem by themselves, no matter what happened to them. And this is the end of my part. Thank you.
Here's come to the end of our presentations, and we also have some game for you to play. The link is under the descriptions below in YouTube. And if you have any question, please ask. We will answer you as we can. Thank you. Goodbye.